Is there a problem, people?
No problem at all, Mrs. Kennedy.
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with
Adeptus Custodes Codex.
Put a tick in it, make her gay!
I don't think retconning the existence of female Adeptus Custodes into the lore of 40k is a good idea. With that statement made, let's get into it. The creation of an Adeptus Custodes is different from that of an Astartes. That much I know. I can admit I am no lore nut. I have read and owned some of the books, primarily the Orc books by Mike Brooks. Therefore, the bulk of my knowledge for the setting and its characters that comes from official Games Workshop text that I know of, I've mainly learned via videos on YouTube, reading codex and book excerpts on social media, and the Lexicanum Wiki. I joined the hobby in the playing sense during the last months of 9th edition, but I have known about the setting for some years before that. I tell you all this so that you have some background as to my knowledge on the setting and where I'm coming from with my history within the hobby. Games Workshop has released a statement in regards to the addition of female Adeptus Custodes. The statement goes as follows. Since the first of the 10,000 were created, there have always been female custodian. Not only is this a lie, as no previous written story, text, or any form of narrative media has reinforced this statement, but rather the opposite has been true. The lore has exclusively shown that all Adeptus Custodes are men and only men, the strongest of which comes from the Adeptus Custodes 8th edition codex, of which it mentions that the lineage and the creation of an Adeptus Custodes comes from the sons of the noble houses on Terra. Last time I checked, one does not refer to their daughters as sons. This is not the only example, as there are countless more. However, this is the only example that I myself could physically verify. That said, a retcon done of this manner, that is to say, to simply handwave the existence of Adeptus Custodes as always having been there, is not only a massive insult to the previously established canon of the setting, but also to its official writers, and most importantly, its fans. You know, the people all of this is for. Warhammer, particularly 40k, is not unfamiliar to heavy retcons. Nearly every faction and part of the setting has changed drastically since its initial inception into what it's been today over the span of multiple decades. However, with the introduction of 8th edition, the canonicity of events has gone from less of a loose established canon for a sandbox tabletop game to more of an established narrative for a growing multimedia franchise. This ain't a commentary on the risks of a small niche IP going mainstream. This is merely an observation from a consumer's perspective. Not to say they couldn't simply create female Adeptus Custodes for the setting now, similar to how they did with Primaris Marines back in the day. Black Library writers are more than capable of doing this. However, for whatever reason, GW has chosen to retroactively retcon previously established lore. That said, retcons of this manner cannot function if your goal is to create a cohesive narrative that people are willing to invest their money and, most importantly, their time in. If you are going to simply handwave things into existence within your canon, then simply put, what are your writers there for? Is it not their job and responsibility to work within what is already established so that new narratives within your universe operate in a believable manner that is interconnected and cohesive for those reading it and doesn't contradict each other while also being true for those characters existing within your story? To put it into simpler words, you're not going to write a fairy tale where the daughters of a king are imprisoned in a tower, only to 6 pages in begin to refer to those same daughters as sons. There's an inconsistency there that cannot exist. The same applies to female custodians in 40k. Now, I understand, GW wants brownie points, gotta get that DEI money. BlackRock, I'm looking at you. This fake push for female inclusivity is incredibly obvious when model lines and lore that already exists for women within the setting is ignored and abandoned. When was the last time a Sisters of Battle book came out? Or when did a new sculpt for the army come out? What about Sisters of Silence? You know, the group of warrior women that fight and die alongside the Adeptus Custodes? Alright, they get neglected. What about the female regiments for the Astra Militarum and the female sculpts for Adeptus Mechanicus? Specifically the Scutari. You know, the factions within your setting that actually have strong and capable women in them? If Games Workshop actually cared about being inclusive, these stories and models would have been added months if not years ago. But they're not, because it's not about setting a standard or being genuine in one's own belief. It's about pushing a narrative, a message, that leads to short-gain profits, which at the end of the day is all a corporation really cares about. Do I believe retconning female Adeptus Custodes into always existing is the thing that finally kills Warhammer 40k? No, I think their aggressive anti-consumer practices will do that long before any narrative changes do them in. But I do believe it is a sign of a corporation that is slowly being taken over by ideologues that have no respect or care for what came before, and that in many ways is worse for the overall health of the genre. This is just one man's opinion on the internet. If you agree or disagree, don't forget to write down your opinions down in the comment section. And if you like my content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all later. Peace out.